Hey everybody, welcome to the Mental Edge. I'm Stacy Goodrich, your host, and I'm really excited to share with you a story today. Holly, welcome to the show. And
Thank you for having me. Hi.
yes, and Holly, so your daughter's a gymnast, and just tell everybody what was going on before we met.
Before we met, my daughter was a level 5 gymnast, and about maybe I'd say a few months into her season competing, her coach came up to me and was like, "I don't know what's wrong with her. She's just not doing her." I think at that point it was the back handspring on the beam, and I said, "Okay." And this was when I was picking her up, the drive-through line to pick her up. And I said, Okay, what do we do?" And she's like, "Well, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you to do." So I thought, okay. So I scheduled some privates. That made it worse. Then
That
it
made it worse,
basically
huh?
it did for her. For her, I know
Mm,
some kids it probably
mhm,
helps, but for Sydney, it just made it so much worse. And she just,
mm.
I actually watched a private where she just was destructing in front of my just crying, and it was just a huge mess, and it eventually transitioned into floor, anything going backwards, floor, bars, the flyaway on bars, and eventually the Yurchenko vault, and then it was like all her coach would
And
tell me is it is what it is. That's what she said,
yeah,
and I hate that word. Like, I hate that phrase now. Like, I hate it just because of that. But
well, and Holly, when you think back to that, um, I think it's really interesting what was said to her,
right,
right? And what
right,
you said to her, probably, like none of us are
yes,
perfect at
exactly.
this. When your athlete has a mental block,
Just do it.
we
Yep. I did
and
that.
on that, I think your coaches told her, and you can correct me if this is wrong, but I think that she was told you will never get over this, and you will never go to level 7.
Well, at that point, she was 5, and we
5.
moved to a different gym after that,
Oh,
not because of the block, but just because of some other, issues within the coaching situation with the gym. But, she actually kinda turned things around for herself, and was good for the rest of her level 5 season. Actually, she was
oh,
state champion, did great. And then,
okay.
when we were trying out at a gym that had, more like college and elite sort of potential, just we were planning on moving anyway, we tried out this gym. All of a sudden, she went back to the blocks again, and so
Okay.
they accepted her onto their level 6 team, but it was like, oh, and then she started kind of going, going backwards, not literally going backwards, but having some blocks,
Yeah.
and and so I think about halfway through her level 6 season is probably when I heard about you, and I reached out to you, and she is on her third level 6 season, but she's doing fabulous now. So thanks to you. But yeah, it's
Well,
yeah,
Sydney's case was interesting because I know that you were really struggling. Every single time she would struggle, or if she went even sideways, much less backwards,
right,
you would go into this panic, like, oh my God, we're never going to get over it. It's hopeless, right? There
right,
was such a hopeless feeling. And I
right.
and I was just I knew that there was a solution, but it took a while. It probably
Yes.
took us what, 6 months to get to the
I
root cause? Was it that long?
Yeah, yeah, she would. I mean, we started working with you, and things did get a lot better. And
Yeah.
she would like go back to your Chenkos, and then 4 months later, she'd stop doing them. She just all of a sudden was scared of them. And then there was the flyaway and bar. She was doing them fabulously her first level 6 season, and then in the summer she just stopped. And I thought maybe it was the pressure moving up to 7, and she had all her 7 skills. I mean, she's got all her 8 skills right now. Like,
Yeah,
she's
but
got
her
all her
coaches
skills.
told her she would never go to
She
7.
Right, that's when
And
they
she
said
believed,
she
and
yeah,
this is what's so important. People don't realize they how much they have their coaches in their A circle. And I'm not saying anything negative about coaches. Everybody's doing the best they can with what they know at the time. But when a coach says to an athlete, you'll never go to level 7, they find ways that the
Hmm.
athlete will find a way unconsciously to sabotage themselves to not do it, because
Right.
they'll believe their coach, they'll have that in their A circle, and they will behave according to that mentality. And so
Exactly.
Sydney's mental, um, I don't want to call it a mental block. It gets so much attention, but her mental block was so layered,
Hmm.
and I knew it was complex. It wasn't just about one thing, but I'll never ever forget the session we did where, and this was, it was, it was difficult for me. The whole process was so difficult because I don't like it when they're struggling. And I know there's a solution and it's my job to get to the root cause of it. But when it doesn't happen, I know that people get frustrated. They want to quit. She wants to quit. Like it's this whole thing. And I know if an athlete quits with a mental block, it will travel with her. It doesn't mean that we can't get over that. And it doesn't mean that people don't find ways to make it a resource for them, because all of that's true. But I do know that Sydney's mental block was definitely attached to her personally. And that's what made it so hard, because I didn't want her to quit with it, that because I knew that it was deeper than just I can't do my back skills. It was it was embedded in her. And she said to me, the session we did, and I finally got to the root cause of it. Basically, when it first started, she felt like she was the problem. It was her fault, and she was inadequate. Like I'm probably going to mess up the words she used, but she felt like she was lacking. And I said to her in that session, I said, "Do you feel like even when you're talking with me, you're portraying yourself as lacking, as not good enough?" And she said, "Yes."
Hmm.
And
Yep.
when we kind of popped that, when we what happens is you have to go back to the root cause, because that's where you perceive something and you behave according to that perception. I'm bad. I'm the problem. I'm just supposed to get out of my head. I'm just supposed to, just do it. Don't think about it. And I don't know how, and I can't. That gets
Right.
layered. Then things get built on top of that. And so my job is to get to the root cause of that so that we can shift that mindset from the old perception. And it was like a light switch for her.
It so was. I mean, it
It,
it
I
absolutely
said,
was.
I think I called
You
you or
text.
texted you,
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God. Like I was so hopeful and grateful for that
Yeah.
session, because it was for her like a light switch. And I'm like, not only is she going to be able to do whatever she wants to do, she's going to do it quickly. She's going
Right.
to be able to manage herself. And so tell us from your perspective, what, for what was going on with you as her mother? Like, how were you affected by this whole thing?
Oh gosh. Well, starting out, I did everything you're not supposed to do. Just go for it. You can do it. Like, why are you get out of your head? Like all things you're not supposed to say. Um,
Well,
but
those are all the things that we all say.
yeah,
I
I
mean, we're
know.
we're all messing up. I always tell parents, we're all messing up our kids. It's just
Mm.
that, A
It's
circle
just
gives them
yeah,
the ability to kick us out
right.
some of the
Right.
time.
And I think it's hard because they see their best friends or their teammates and stuff, and they are 8 years old and have absolutely no fear at all, and like, why do I have fear? Why am I why all of a sudden am I scared to do the skill? And you just don't, it's hard to not say the
And I
wrong thing,
remember,
like, "Well,"
Holly, I remember like yelling at you. I mean, like texting, and my kids will hear me talk texting, because I'm talk
yeah.
texting all the time. And they're like, "Oh my God, mom," like, and I'm like, "I know, but I just got it. She just doesn't get it." And
Well, and
and
I
I,
feel like I know, and you would tell me, and then like I come back like a couple weeks later and be like, but why, blah, and
yeah.
still not getting it, but I'm totally getting it now. And Yes, like I
Well,
since
what bothered me about Sydney's case, and it's still when I hear the words fear and scared, she
yeah.
wasn't scared.
No.
The problem is coaches will say, well, you must be afraid because you're not doing it. You
Right.
must not be making the effort because you're not doing it. I heard a guy on Instagram today, and he's like, they just need to make the effort. But when you're mentally stressed and when you have mental thoughts in your head preventing you from doing your skills,
Right.
you are making the effort. It's just a mental disconnect that's preventing you from doing it. And so all of that can be difficult on the athlete because now I'm not making the effort. Now I'm not doing what my coach tells me to do. Now my mom just told me to get out of my head and I can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, it just
Piles
piles
on.
on to them.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes this, Sid was so just not knowing what to do. And
Right.
then losing faith in, she would feel good about what we were doing and what we were talking about, but then it would all come back and it would pile on again and she
Hmm.
couldn't do it. And then, especially the Yurchenko, because there was a vault where she could do it and a vault where she couldn't do it or something.
Right. Right.
There was
And
one
there was
side
a,
where she felt comfortable and the other, but she
oh
had to do
yeah,
it on this side and then made her do it on this side. And,
yeah,
there's
she
all
can't do
kinds
it
of
in the
layers.
pit but she can do it on the regular vault, but not the pit. And so it's just kind of a, it's
And then they
just
would, they're doing the best they can, but they would make her do it on the vault that she couldn't do it on. So I'm like,
right.
oh my gosh, you can't even then build on that strength of doing it here. Not,
Exactly.
then you can't move through the problem.
Right.
So there's so many things, and especially with gymnasts. And you know, I know I was telling you, um, there's only been one, maybe two people in my entire career, and I've been seeing 30 athletes a week on the average for the last 8 years straight. And I did
Hmm.
coaching before that too, but since I put my business online, and most of them are gymnasts or cheer, tumbling. And I think I've only told one or two people to quit.
Wow. Yeah.
And one was yesterday. I
Really.
I had been at this gym where they were these couple girls that I've been working with, and I believe that they will not be successful in this gym.
Mm.
And it was the first time that because when 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 a person quits the sport and they have a mental block, the way Sydney did was she felt equal to the problem. And I know it kind of sounds almost flippant, but when your athlete is feeling equal to the fact that they can't do something that they know they can physically do, they
Hmm.
interpret that and their perception of themselves because of that is what will travel with them for the
Right.
rest of
For
their
life.
life. And
Hmm.
we've all experienced that. We've all been told something when we were a child that we carry with us. And most of the time we use it as a resource for us now because we're older and we had to. But they will, and if she's got the mentality, I can't do it, well, then the next thing she tries, it's going to come back to her. I can't do it.
Right.
I don't know how to go, whatever that is. And so I was so proud of you and her because it's not even about gymnastics. Like, we don't care about the stupid
Yeah.
sport. It's
Right.
not like there were many times I'm like to my daughter, why would you stay in this? You got a broken back, your wrist, you had surgery on both your wrists, and you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
but when they can get through that and then know that they can do whatever they want to do, then who cares? Then if
Then they
she
have
wants to quit,
all the power. Yeah. Then
yeah, because and now Sydney knows that she is the resource, not the sport. That's so important. She knows she has the ability to duplicate her success not only in the sport but beyond the sport because I'm teaching her that. She knows
absolutely.
how to be successful in any situation. So tell us, since that corner for you, since we turned that corner, what do you remember what you noticed at first? What was different?
Um, well, after you it was funny because you guys talked. It was like a one of I think it was just a I think this one was actually a 30-minute session that you had, and then you texted me pretty much right after that, and I talked to her, and she was just like, it was almost like an aha moment, like
Yeah.
oh, and so I was like, awesome, I'm great, I'm so excited for you, and then just sort of
You're like, well, I'll believe it when I see
no, I just yeah, I
it.
mean, honestly, just because it's
It has
yeah,
been
it's
a
been a
long time.
journey. I know,
Yeah.
and that like, and we love you. I'm so glad we have you. but I was
Thank you.
just like at that point, I was like, okay, well, yeah. And I think she came home and said I was doing my Yurchenkos. She's since decided we're doing half the suits. I think they're called flipping. She's been flipping her
Yeah.
souk on a hard surface like so she's doing great but it just works better for her but it's not because of like a fear thing she also does Yurchenkos sometimes on when she gets a chance to do it on the non-pit vault but
Yeah. Yeah.
but like it was something like that it was either the vault or maybe it was even on oh you know what actually I'm so sorry it was on bars it was the flyaway because she'd been doing for the whole last season, she was doing a front
Oh, yeah, that's right.
grip change flyaway just to make it so it was front ways. And then she was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I did my back layout flyaway," and I was like, "Wait, I was like, "Are you right? Like your back
Yeah.
layout?" Like I was like,
Yeah.
"She hasn't done that in a year and a half." I was like, "Your back layout flyaway?" She was like, "Yeah, this is no big deal." And I was like, "So proud of you, awesome job." I was like, not trying to about it, but she has done that dismount all season like a boss, like just no problem. She tells
Yeah.
me every time, like, I do it. I'm not afraid of it. I'm good. I've got it. And she chooses to do the soup, which is fine because that works out better for her. And
Oh, and I
she's
remember, Holly, I remember with Sydney, you you would tell me that she lied to you.
oh yes, she did. She
It
did.
it was it was this whole thing about she lied. And I
hmm
used to get so sad for her because she wasn't consciously lying to you,
Right. No, I agree
but
because she
it
doesn't do
came
that with
across
yeah.
because she wasn't telling you that she couldn't do something because she felt so bad about herself that she didn't
Right.
want to tell you. You would tell her that she's lying. And I was like, oh, right? Like all of these things were so tied into the mental
Yeah.
block
Right.
that, and I forgot about that because,
hmm
again, it's not what we say to our kids that matters, it's how they perceive it
Yeah.
that dictates their behavior and runs their life. And so I was just so worried that she was going to come out like she's a liar, because she wasn't
Yeah. And that's not
purposely,
yeah, she doesn't
no,
do that normally about
no,
anything. So I was just kind of like, gosh, this must be really impacting her is what I took away
yeah,
from that. Like this is just so badly ingrained, immersed in her, whatever the word I'm trying to say, and that she feels the need to lie about it. And
yeah, yeah,
and that was heartbreaking. It was
yeah.
sad. And I mean, she would go and sort of walk around and not do
Yeah,
like the coaches were telling me she wasn't doing her she would go into the bathroom or
avoiding.
avoiding
And
that's
then they
yeah
would say she's not making the effort or you're not doing what we're
yeah
telling you. And
yeah
so, I think I want people to know through your story is how none of it is conscious. Not, they're not
right
trying to not do their skills. There's not a gymnast or an athlete in the world that doesn't want to play their best. But if they
exactly
are not performing in their potential, it is because of the mental thought process going on unconsciously. So we've got an
exactly
unconscious thought process controlling me, and then people only know how to fix it with a conscious idea, which doesn't work. And then
right
that puts the problem back on the athlete. And so
exactly
if you're in that situation, you have to flip it up. We can, there is a solution to it, but the awareness of what's going on unconsciously is so important. And that's what makes Soul Connected different from, a psychologist or a mental skills person. They're going to do a lot of conscious stuff, which is all valuable and all really important. But if they've got a mental disconnect where they're not performing their best, that's because of an unconscious thought process in their way.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. I mean, and even like I actually was on one some of these gymnastics Facebook group pages and stuff, and I felt so bad. There was a person yesterday that was saying that, her she's been told her daughter's super talented, but she's has these fears and she might have to repeat and stuff like that. And like I've been in the room twice now, physically in a room with a coach, or it's been two different coaches different times that said, your kid is the most talented kid we have. She's not going to get past these blocks, so you need to make her quit or go to Excel. Which, nothing wrong with Excel, absolutely nothing wrong with Excel, but that's
Right.
not what she wants. And I mean, I know she's been in a hiccup for, I don't even want to call it a hiccup, she's just had this, she's been repeating a level for a couple of few years, and it's hard because she's sitting there hearing she's never going to get through this. She was sitting right there next to me, and she just, her head was like this, and I just felt so bad for her. And this was August. I mean, this was just last year, and being
Yeah.
told, that's the other thing. It's like, but then you guys had your conversation that was like a turning point. I think it was literally like a month later, and thank God, because that really helped her a lot. But I just like,
And
I
I
think,
I have to say that is still in her A circle.
I'm
And
sure.
I'm literally, when we talk now, I'm not even, I pretend like she's in 7 going to 8.
Right.
We're talking about pirouette. We're talking about
Yeah.
giant into, we're talking about clear hips on the high bar. Like we're not talking about level 7 because it is such a thing still. But
Right.
for her, goal beyond the goal is, moving through that into 8. So 7 just becomes a part of that, whether they have her do 7 or 8 or
Hmm.
7 one meet and then 8, that would be ideal because
Agree.
we don't need that to be in our A circle moving forward. And that was not the first coach that had said that to her. And
No.
we just have to, if I don't have a solution for a problem that my athlete is having, then validate their feelings, then
Hmm.
validate how they are, because that will help them get through the root, cut to the root. At the root of every problem lies the solution. But if a person is having a mental block, then you say, get out of your head. You don't worry about it. Just think about it. It's not that those things aren't important, but if they don't have a solution to how to do that, then what do they do
What do
about
they
that?
do?
Right.
Yeah. Where do they go? Yeah, exactly.
And so if they have a problem, the best thing that a parent can do is validate their feelings and say, I'm so sorry that that's happening. That's got to feel awful that you are afraid. What do you need me to do to help? How can I support you? What do you need me to find somebody? Do you need me to talk to the coaches? How can I help you? Because the athletes feel, again, like they're the problem and there's no separation between them and the problem. And so, and then if we say, if we put it back on them, and then people, no wonder why kids don't want to see me, because they don't want me to tell them to get out of their head. They don't want to,
Right.
they don't want that same thing. But it is so important to separate them from the problem, and that's what A circle does, and that's what this process can do. And I'm so proud
Absolutely.
to, when I talk to her now, she's so cute. She's just like,
Mhm.
I'll say, how are you? She's still very shy, very, I'm good, everything's good. I kind of
Yeah.
have to dig into it sometimes if
Yeah.
there is anything wrong. She still doesn't love to talk about the problems. Um,
Right.
but that's the benefit of seeing me over time. When there is success, we can layer that. That's been really
Yeah.
fun. It's been really fun.
Absolutely. Well, and actually, I was just going to say this is probably not something most gymnasts or people are dealing with, but this happened. And I texted you, of course, because I'm like, you're like my speed dial text. I'm like, oh God, Stacy, this happened. What do I do? But there was a practice. Sydney gets really bad migraines, usually
Yeah.
once a month, maybe once every 2 months if we're lucky. but they're just, she can't see, she gets the auras, and then she gets really nauseous and very, very painful. Anyway, like she can't do she cannot do
Yeah,
gymnastics and it always
yeah,
happens at gymnastics. But
yeah.
most of her coaches have been super supportive and awesome about it. But she had this different coach this one day, and she was she made it through 3 events, and then she started in vault not being able to see. She finished vault, and then and I've written it on the medical form, please allow Sydney to go take her medication, which sometimes helps, sometimes doesn't, but
Yeah,
it's on the
yeah,
forms. But
yeah,
she said, can I, coach so and so, can I go to the locker room and take my medication? I'm getting a migraine. And I guess when she went in to get her medicine, one of her teammates overheard the coach saying, "Oh, Sydney just doesn't want to do bars. She's just being afraid of bars," which hasn't been. And then the girl told Sydney that, and I
yeah,
was like, "Oh my god! Like this is gonna be." It's. I was just bracing myself. I was like, "She's a meet." In three
yeah,
days, I was like, "Great, thanks, dude! Like super."
yeah,
And I just
yeah,
thought, God, she's gonna. This is gonna be what sets it off again.
yeah,
And she was like, I hate that he said, well, she came out crying. She felt like crap, but she came out crying, and she was like, I can't believe so and so told me that this coach said this. And why would he say it was faking and blah, blah, blah. Basically said she was faking so she could get out of bars. And I said, well, it's okay. I was like, I was like, I'll talk to Stacy, but I was like, how are you feeling? I was like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay about bars? You feel, and she was like, I'm not worried about bars at all. She's like, it just ticked me off that this coach said that. And I was like, as you should feel ticked off, because
yeah,
you clearly have a medical condition that occasionally
yeah,
causes you to have to leave or be very violent. I mean, if they want to see her throwing up all over the gym with a migraine, then that's fine. But I'm
yeah,
pretty sure nobody wants to see that. And so, anyway, I thought, oh, this is going to be a thing. I thought, oh, Lord, this is going to get in her head. Her head. I thought this. I didn't tell her this, but I
yeah.
thought this. And no, she just, and I don't know if that would have been the case, months before or a year before,
Oh,
because
no.
she just locked in and was
Oh,
like,
it would have taken her out of her body
yeah,
for sure,
for sure.
for sure. And that's what's nice about the work.
Hmm.
I always say, my daughter had to master, she taught me that you can be hard on yourself, but you cannot be mad at yourself.
Exactly.
And these gymnasts and all athletes that are at a elite high level, when they can separate themselves from the sport and from anything anybody says about the sport, about them, that's when they can be in the moment without judgment, without pressure and stress, and all the things that get added on when they feel equal to the problem or equal to the sport. That is when they can then be successful no matter what. And that's what
Exactly.
Sydney showed you. She was successful no
Absolutely.
matter what.
Hmm.
And that's what that's what the whole point is. It doesn't mean she's going to be perfect at every meet. It doesn't mean that she's going to win everything all the time. It means she is performing in her potential, one day at a time, 1 minute at it, and over time. That's beautiful. Like that's
That's the win for sure. That's the win.
yes.
Absolutely.
And she's doing that all the time. And like, but processing with you about it too,
Hmm.
talking to you about it and able to, you know, be okay with the situation, vent. It doesn't mean everything's perfect.
Right.
Like it, and he unfortunately, that's his problem, not hers.
Right.
I can only see in you what I have in me. So if I say something lacking, it's my lack that I'm mirroring onto. So that's what
Hmm.
he did. He mirrored his lack onto her, and she didn't take it. She didn't take the bait.
No, I was so proud, and I felt like almost kind of guilty, and I felt bad that my first reaction was like, "Oh Lord," like brace myself. I just thought, "Oh God, here we
Well,
go. I'm
you're
gonna."
her mother and you don't want her to struggle. And there is all of that. And so
Right.
you, Holly, I have to say, you were a tough one. I was
I'm
like, no,
sure.
you're not gonna, don't tell her she's a liar. Don't, I
Yeah.
I would just be like, but I knew that once she turned the corner, it was gonna be fine. It's just that
Right.
it did take us a long time to get to that point for her. And it was because it was so deep rooted and connected to her personally and
Right.
everything she did. And I was so happy to get through that because I know she'll be better in school. She'll be
Oh
better in
yeah.
relationships. She'll be better as showing up for herself and communicating, and everything goes on top of that.
Right.
And not only in gymnastics, but she'll show it mostly in gymnastics and her confidence and her strength. And
Absolutely.
and now we'll just get her through 7 on to 8 and we'll call it a day.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I will never forget that day. It was like you I think you called me or texted me and I was just like, "Oh." She's like, "I think we've got it." She's like, "I think you said I think we've got it." And she's like, "This is what we discussed and I
Yeah.
finally think we've got it." And I was like, "Okay." And you were right. Like it's been like you said, that yeah, but she stepped out of bounds ridiculously at the
Yeah.
last meet, wasn't even paying attention. And I was, we laughed about it. We were like, that's funny. And then she went over on her cast handstand because she had too much power, and I'm like, I will take that any day of the week over I'm scared to go
And
for
you
my
know,
skills or
and Holly, you know
whatever.
what I probably told her in the last session was lean into your A circle
Hmm.
and get curious about what you can do to be better. And sometimes that can show their ambition, so to speak, a little,
Sure.
kip cast handstand over the bar and
Yeah.
stepping out of bounds on a pass might be that exploration, but now it's a growing pain. It's not a problem.
Right.
She
Something that
wasn't like,
she,
oh my
yeah.
God, now I'm gonna go bounce every time, because that's what happens, right?
Right.
Now I'm gonna go over, now I got my cast handstand in my A circle in a negative way, and I'm gonna go over every. It's not that. It's just like, okay, what do I need to focus on? How do I, right? And so
Right.
it just, that's how you know that she's not equal to the problem anymore.
Exactly.
She's not equal to the problem or the solution, but she can learn from both.
Right, and apply it and use it to help her. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been such a really I mean, it's been a definite obvious growth pattern since we've since we've met you. But wow, just like the last year has been this last season, really she's just
Yeah,
using things and benefiting so much from it and just as
she's
even outside it like you said outside of gymnastics like it's just a it's amazing and I'm
I'm
very grateful.
so proud of her and so happy for you as well. For you, what advice can you give to parents that are maybe watching or listening and kind of going through similar things? What would you say to them?
Oh gosh. Just I mean, definitely trust the process. It's not like I when I first even heard about whatever mental blocks or fears or whatever were, I thought, okay, we'll call this person and it'll be fixed, like check the box, she'll talk to you and everything will be fixed. And
Which does happen sometimes, by the way.
yeah, it does. And it does.
I mean, that does happen where they're just like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
but
yeah, it's some like not for everyone. And just
no,
let them like it's hard to say, not say, "Oh, you can do it." Just get out of your head. Just do your skill, just do it. It is what it is. Just do it. Just let them do their process and work with you obviously because it helps so much. And just it's not it's the other thing that's kind of I think been hard is well at least I think for maybe more for me than Sydney, but it's like it's hard seeing her on the same like she's been with these certain girls and they all go that was what was hard for me to understand. I think more than anything is they're on the same, everybody's moving up level and then get the mental blocks or whatever and Sydney's stuck at this level and everybody else is on 8 now, and moving up and all her besties are, moving up different levels and and sometimes she'd be like, why don't they get these things? Not that she would wish that on her friends, but it's like,
no.
does almost everyone get over it and don't worry about the fear or get through blocks or just do the skill? And she's just like, my body won't go. And I think that working with you was was helpful to make me understand anyway. Just-
Yeah.
I'm still learning, but it's
Yeah.
helping me understand that it's like it's not her problem. It's not something wrong with her or the gymnast. It's just what is in her conscious or subconscious, and what
Mhm.
her brain is, what's going on there. And there is
Yeah.
some deep rooted, I hate to say trauma, maybe that's not the right word, but experience maybe is the right word.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that has to be worked through before you can graduate to the next, to move on and get through it. And that's probably not the best way to say it, but that's kind of how I've worked through it a little bit.
Well, and I think that parents need to know that this does happen and they're not alone. And
Right.
it is unfortunate and it's awful. And they don't have to wonder if there's something wrong with their child. There
Of
definitely
course.
is a mental thought process that is controlling their child. Um, but there's always a solution. There's
Right.
always a
Right.
solution to anything mentally going on. And sometimes it does take a while to get the layers uncovered and that awareness. And sometimes it can be one session, two sessions, three sessions, and then they're on their way. Or some people will see me and then they'll come back when things get,
Get a
when
little
something happens to
dicey.
them.
Yeah.
But that's just how life is. Um, but the benefit, I was just talking to my son, he coaches too, and he was connected with some of his baseball players, and he goes, "Mom, I'm so proud of this kid. He was, they all told him he was lazy. And I didn't tell him to not be lazy. I didn't tell him to go to the gym like everybody else is telling him.
Right.
I connected him, and he's in the gym 6:30 in the morning and 6:30 at night. He's doing it all on his own. Um,
Wow.
and the difference between telling people it's not that telling people what to do isn't important. I don't mean to say anything negative about that, but with a mental disconnect, it just goes against kind of what they're trying to do.
Oh, sure. I mean, I don't know if I may have told you this. I saw something on Facebook yesterday in one of the gymnastic mom groups and it just broke my heart. Like I just wanted so badly for her to to talk to you. I was like, I did recommend you. I was like, she said, my daughter's, talented. She's been
Is
doing
she
great in
is she
gymnastics.
crying every day?
No, well, I don't know if she's
Oh,
crying every day, but she said that the coach told her, had a meeting with the parent, said these, she can't get over her mental blocks. I think it was a going backwards on beam thing, and she should just quit the sport, but she doesn't want to quit. She loves it so much. And I was just like, oh God, please
yeah, yeah,
don't let her quit. Like, oh,
right,
like, oh,
yeah,
especially when the kid just wants it so bad too. And it's
yeah,
just like, it is, you can get through it. Like it's been like, believe me, you and I know it's been
yeah,
a long road, but
yeah,
it's fixable. It's doable. It's just, you just got to
yeah,
keep at it. So I just hope
yeah,
other parents, with gymnasts going through the same thing, or any athlete for that matter, can just
yeah.
hang in there. Just call Stacy. She's awesome.
Yes, thank you. Some of the people you recommend do call me, and I'm grateful because my whole business is based on a referral.
Of
I'm on
course.
Facebook, but
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, people don't even see my posts anymore. It's kind of like the
Right.
algorithm
Because,
is not,
yeah.
it's not what it used to be. I'll just put it that way. I used to get like
Right.
hundreds of likes and thousands of views on my videos, and it's just different, but I'm so
Hmm.
grateful because it is valuable, and I just want them to be able to overcome that so that they can use the resources beyond the sport.
Of course. Of course. And you've been so amazing every time I've I'm sure I
When I
probably,
yell at you,
yeah, no, and you should, because no, but I'll every time something, I'll text you. Doesn't matter what time of night or
oh
day it
yeah,
is, and you're so sweet to like always respond and have
yeah,
some very beneficial
thank you.
information for me when I'm like,
It
so,
is it is hard to navigate. It really is. And I don't mean to like make it dramatic, but we don't want our kids to leave the sport because of something that is in their way of and in a negative perception, because they
Right.
perceive that, then moving forward, then if they want to quit, fine, who cares? Like, it's not that I don't think kids, I heard a statistic that 70% of all kids quit the sport by the time they're 13. Well, the reason is, in my opinion, is because of the mental side. They don't have a way to
Hmm.
manage, they can't do the doing strategy anymore, and they don't have a way to manage it, and they quit. Or
Right.
they mentally get exhausted. I don't think most kids quit if they can physically do what they want to do.
Oh, exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
well,
tough.
I'll have to bring you back. We've got a little level 7 thingy. We got that going on. Like I said, my goal is to do like 1 meet 7 and move on to 8. I want her ready for level 8 by next fall. She can already flip a vault. She can do her giant. She can do, she,
Yeah.
the pirouette is not going to be hard for her. Um, the full, she's already twisting
Yeah, she
on
does
the
the full
floor.
and the halves, yeah, so
Yeah,
we'll
so
see.
it's just, that's would be great. So I'm looking forward to it. But Holly, thank you for all you do for and for me. And thanks for trusting in the process, because I know there were times where you were like, no, I'm done. I'm spending all this money. I'm done.
It is,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
it's hard to it's
I know, but let's
valuable
do
though, for
15
sure.
minutes, please. Just let me keep up with it.
No, it's been invaluable, honestly, like, just amazing, and, yeah, just
Thanks.
any moms, dads out there, like, if your kids struggling with these mental things, I hate to say blocks or fears, but whatever it
Yeah,
is, just
they are.
keep trusting the process because it's definitely like it's been a road for us, but there is there is light at the end of the tunnel for sure.
Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah. Thank you
All
for
right.
having
Well,
me
thank you.
too. Thank you
Yep,
so
thank you. Say
much.
hi to Sid, and we'll have to schedule
Yes. Yes,
to get her in.
definitely. I'll
Does she
text you.
compete this weekend?
No, next
Okay,
weekend. She has a meet on Saturday.
okay.
So yeah,
Okey
but
doke.
I'll reach
I look
out.
for.
All right.
Okay, thanks,
Thanks.
Holly. See you
All right.
guys.
Talk to you
Bye.
soon.
Have a good day, everybody.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Bye.